The next wave of business leaders won't just use AI, they'll master momentum with it, starting now. Welcome to the Mastering AI Momentum Show, where visionary founders and driven business leaders turn artificial intelligence, automation, and scalable systems into real growth, real scale, and real freedom. If you're ready to break bottlenecks, reclaim your title, and scale smarter, this is your playbook. Let's dive in. Here are your hosts, Allie Porter and Elise Smith.
Welcome back to the Mastering AI Momentum Show. My name is Elise Smith, your AI business strategist with Millionaire Momentum AI Agency. We help forward-thinking leaders integrate AI systems that amplify their creativity, consistency, and client relationships. Now, today's conversation dives deep into the evolution of marketing from the early digital days to today's AI-driven landscape with someone who's lived practically every chapter of that story. So, Aaron, we are so grateful to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Elise. I appreciate the opportunity to be on and speak with you.
Of course. So Aaron Perlut is a partner and co-founder at Elasticity, a communication strategy firm that has helped everyone from Fortune 500s to startups stretch the boundaries of what's possible in media, PR, and branding. With over 30 years of experience across energy, consumer products, higher education, and government, Aaron is known for combining disruptive creativity with deep strategic insight. And together, we're going to explore how AI is transforming marketing today, not by replacing relationships, but by reimagining how authenticity and innovation can coexist together. So take us back, Aaron. Take us back to, I believe, 2009. What inspired you and your partners to start Elasticity?
I think it was a similar moment in time to what we're feeling now with AI. The advent of AI, although AI has actually been around for quite a long time, in that the digital technology was changing the way human beings interact. And it doesn't matter if we are working with B2C clients or B2B clients. It's about the human being that you're trying to ultimately reach and thinking behaviorally about how you engage that human being and how you elicit the reaction that as a brand or as a marketer, you're trying to get that person to the action you're trying to get them to take. So that was the time when social media was exploding and all kinds of organizations were trying to wrap their hands around it. And we were at my partners and I were all at a different firm. And, I think I'm sure you're feeling this now with your clientele in that big ships take a longer time to turn. And so getting buy-in from big ships and helping them understand that the world is changing. We're not going to be finding newspapers rolled up at the end of our driveways anymore. And people are going to be getting their information from a handheld device more than anywhere else, was a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. That's when we decided to start our practice at about 2009. It was not at a time where the economy was good, so a lot of people thought that we were crazy. But we started with 3 of us today. We have 30 some on our team spread throughout the U.S. and some overseas. So we've been very fortunate in that we had pretty good relationships when we started our consultancy. It's harder to start one, I think, in the middle of the country than it is, say, in New York or San Francisco or LA or DC. But, we've had a ton of referral business that has come our way and then just slowly built our brand for the last 17 years.
Wow, that is so awesome. I love that. And tell us a little bit more about what you do and who you serve so that we can kind of see how you stand out amongst your competitors and just in the marketplace in general.
Sure. At the end of the day, what we do is actually pretty simple. We take data. It's a 3-legged stool: data, content, and delivery of that content. And again, you're trying to elicit some type of reaction. Every client engagement is a little bit different. But we use data and information sources to create strategy and ultimately create content to tell a story, and that story is meant to be delivered to an audience on behalf of company A, B, or C to elicit a certain reaction, hopefully whether it's a purchase, whether it's a relationship, whether it's fundraising or what have you, whether it's reputation management. And then we're able to, in a kind of a circular fashion, measure the impact of what we're doing with data as well. So it's really data, creating content, whether it's video, print, imagery, any kind of copywriting, and then trying to use that to elicit something. Hopefully, normally a sale, probably, and trying to drive a consumer, an end consumer or user to something to do, take certain action, usually buy a certain product, and then again measure it.
Absolutely. Was that the original vision of the agency, and how has that evolved over the years, especially as the industry has changed?
Yeah, it's a great point. So, strength of creative certainly has always been a foundation. I think what we were seeing, it was based on what we were seeing at the time, and this was 2006 to 2008, 2009, and that was this interplay between traditional media and digital media. And I think at the time people were seeing them function kind of their own silos, and we didn't believe that. We believed that these ecosystems all kind of worked together as one. And so what we were trying to do was merge practices of kind of a digital, innovative, forward-thinking, how we use technology to connect with audiences, trying to think through how we can create big, bold, disruptive, creative, and ultimately lean on end users, target audiences to take action. And it relied on search. And I think search is one of the things that actually AI is impacting a lot. But it was at a time in 2008, 2009 when search, I don't think people realized how important search was then. And I don't think they still realize today that we live in an ecosystem where search metrics really drive everything we do. Whether you're looking for something on Facebook, on Google, on YouTube, which, obviously Google owns YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. All these tools are actually being used for search, and you're using the power of search to find the things that you as a consumer, whether it's a B2B consumer or a B2C consumer, whether you need it. And so we've always really leaned into search as an essential tool to build reputation, to drive sales, to widen the funnel.
Interesting. I love that. And especially because I think that, it wasn't very long ago that I even realized that YouTube was like the second greatest search. Because you don't think about it in terms of videos, but it is. And so I think it's really important to stay up to date on the industry, and watching that transition from like print to digital. I was at my dad's house the other day, and we were talking about how my brother and I used to have a paper route, and nobody even does that anymore, And I asked my dad if he had a phone book for my 2.5-year-old to sit on. And it's interesting to see how it kind of changes and evolves. So because you've been through that transition already in this space, what kind of things did you watch out for when we are transitioning more from, I wouldn't say like from the digital world, but just in a different way to the AI world?
Yeah, I think it is. There's a lot of correlation between the two. And I think probably the core learning that I would take away from it was grasp the new, be excited about the new, but don't kind of throw out the baby with the bathwater. That there's still some value in here, what's been happening, but we know there's this transition to here. So what's happening in between is kind of a collaboration between those two. And so while now a lot of people are using, say, ChatGPT to do searches instead of Google. And for the first time in a generation, that's going to start dramatically sapping from Google's search viability and search strength. But does that mean that Google is not a viable tool, an important tool when you think about SEO or SEM? No, not at all. It's still going to be incredibly important, and it's still why Google and Facebook really control the ad market right now, and will continue to have a huge stake in the ad market, and
Mhm.
they'll catch up as well, and you see it within their search platform, within the UX of what you're doing when you go to Google now. They're starting to evolve and change and trying to make it more AI in orientation. So
Yeah.
I think the key learning is that these two ecosystems work together, and that's what we thought back in 2009, that there was still some value in traditional media, in that it still had strength. There's still core audiences that consume it, and even today there are still core consumers that consume traditional media.
hmm It's funny how when something big comes out like this, we go on extremes, right? Like there are people who, when it first came out, they were using it to write all of their content, and they didn't realize that it wouldn't get as good as algorithms, that it wouldn't perform as well to be able to create that connection, that heart to heart connection that regular from the heart media and content creates. But we almost kind of have to like go to that swing sometimes to be able to say like, okay, that didn't work, let's pull back and bring in the human element a little bit more. And so as we're this is not the last time we're going to see a big shift in the industry. So as we're seeing these different shifts, I think what you said is so important. You don't just throw everything out the window that has been working or that you have enjoyed up to this point. You use it like salt and pepper, right? You mix them together and see exactly how you can create the best dish, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, and I think that you're right when you mentioned kind of the human necessity that's still involved with AI, and also the kind of overuse of it. I would say in one of the three challenges we've probably seen within the use of AI or the adoption of it is that some folks see the value and then they use it as a crutch. And it's kind of,
Mm,
oh, well, I ran this through Chat GPT. And they don't understand that, analytically speaking, uh, it still takes a smart human to understand how to use the tool. So, like, I'm not a contractor. I can swing a hammer, but I'm not probably going to be able to not, drive in a nail as well as a contractor can, a carpenter can, because they understand how to use the tool. And so I think there's a lot of importance into having people that understand how to use the tool. And we've seen some organizations where the board or the C-suite is saying, oh, we can just use AI to do that. We don't need to have these people. And they see an opportunity to cut headcount, and they sell themselves short. I can think of a client we had walk away because they felt like they could take what was a team of 6 on our end that was servicing their business, have a team of 1 and use different AI tools.
right.
And their visibility and reputation has dramatically fallen since they did that. Um, and so you really need to understand how to use these tools. And I mean, I don't want to say you need to understand where to quit, but there's limitations. You know what Clint Eastwood said: "Man's got to know his limitations."
I love that impersonation. Great job.
I don't know that one well, but
All right. Well, so you've gone from, three founders, I believe, to a team of 30, I think is what you said.
yeah,
What, yeah. So what has been the most defining decisions or principles that have allowed you to scale so sustainably throughout this whole process?
it's a great question. I think we've always grown conservatively. Um, just because you get a new client in the door doesn't mean you go out and add 5 people, because um, my partners and I have all been around the block, and we've been in environments where people staff up real fast and then they are very quick to drop headcount. And I think the human aspect, there's nothing more important to me personally. I can't speak for my client, my partners rather. Um, the human aspect of our business is and will always be the most important thing about elasticity to me, because our people make elasticity what it is. Our people are the ones that drive our creative. Our people are the ones that drive our ideas. And without our ideas, we are absolutely nothing. And those ideas are embedded in a foundation of a strong culture. And so I think that's probably always been, for me at least, one of the most essential aspects of growth is that maintaining our culture, not losing our soul, which has been really hard to do, particularly in the last 5 years with the COVID pandemic, and readjusting to what life is now. And that is a life where we're not together all the time. We're working from home some, we're in the office some, we're all traveling some. And but that the culture piece, and I think being conservative about our growth in terms of staffing up and staffing down has always been a really important thing to our overall growth and evolution as an organization.
Yeah. And I like the fact that you didn't build it by yourself. Your three founders didn't build it by yourself. Like, you had a team to be able to help you guys with your ideas. And back to what you were saying earlier, it's not, we're going to replace people with robots, right? We're not replacing jobs with AI. We're actually enhancing what they're able to do and make them more effective and efficient, and probably even more satisfied with the job that they can do. Can you talk a little bit about that, of how AI has enhanced your team members?
Yeah, I would say that, again, AI to us is a tool. It is another tool in the toolkit for our team to use, and making sure that everyone understands the value and how to use those tools. I think that's one of the most important aspects that's really lost with the advent of AI, is that there's not a whole lot of training, and it's obviously going to vary from vertical to vertical, industry to industry, but helping our team understand how they can better use these tools has really been important to us. So I think it's reinforcing that this is not here to replace you. This is here to make you better at what you do. And you've got to be repetitive about that, which I know can be annoying to some people, but you really have to repeat that over and over and over again. Because I think then people actually will ultimately become better at what they do, become better professionals. And so, our goal is that, look, we don't, I tell people this all the time when they join the agency. I am under no illusion that you're going to be with us for the rest of your career. I just hope when you leave, you're better for it. And that includes the use of AI tools, which to me is no different than the use of any other tools that we would use throughout the chain to make our end product better.
Yeah. So do you use the AI tools for like creative ideation, or does it go past that? Like, what are you guys using them for?
Yeah, I mean, the two primary things are, efficacy and efficiency, to help our people do their jobs better, faster, more effectively, more accurately. But it's really helped us, I would say, scale the way we analyze data.
Mm.
Competitive, comparative, and real-time campaign performance. We're able to look at that. We can test everything from, creative test strategies to multivariate messages, and even as a kind of a critical outside perspective to see maybe what an idea is missing. We can preempt questions that could be posed, or just point out opportunities to improve. So it's just, I mean, it's a superb tool. And the nice thing is that the more information we put into AI engines, the smarter it's getting, until it turns around and becomes robots and murders all of us. And we're living in a dystopian world, with John Connor.
Yeah, that's everybody's fear, right? I think they asked ChatGPT when it first came out, like, is AI going to take over the world? And I think that depending on who you are, you get a different answer. My husband and I tested that one out. But there needs to be limits, and there are rules. In fact, I talked to a company the other day that actually puts limits around utilizing AI in your business as far as what it can and can't do. So it's using it responsibly so that we don't turn into the Terminator society, right?
Yeah, and I also think it's using it wisely. I'm sure you've seen all the studies. MIT's done some great research on the use of AI, but there was one in particular that struck me. Well, a couple things came out of MIT. One said over 90% of enterprise businesses that implemented AI and AI tools didn't see much of a return on the investment in the business. That to me gets back to the training aspect. Like, why are you using it? The other thing, and this kind of speaks to having some limitations on how much you're using it. That MIT lab did a study where they found that that the use of ChatGPT in particular was harming critical thinking abilities. I think they took something like 54 subjects. They divided them up into 3 groups, and they uses ChatGPT, Google search engine, and then nothing at all to compare look at brain activity and look at how how the brain activity was reacting to the use of either actually having to work or using ChatGPT or Google as a crutch. And so what they found with this underperformance in neural and linguistic and behavioral levels. So we can't get lazy and say, AI is going to do everything for me. I mean, it is a tool, kind of like when I was a little kid. I had this, I don't know how I got it, but I got this old set of this encyclopedia set. And I would use it like when I was doing research. But again, it was a tool of 32 books, and that took up a lot of space in my bedroom. Now I can get the same thing off my phone. But yeah, I think we need to be wise about how we use it. And it's just about responsibility. Now, I would say the humankind has not demonstrated our ability to be responsible with using tools and not getting completely out of hand with it. So it's a pretty slippery slope we're on, but you just gotta kind of pray for the best, and that the people are being responsible with their use and how they're using it.
Yeah, I know. I was fascinated when I saw that study because in my mind, and I guess it's maybe the user, right? It helps me to think in ways that I don't normally think. I'm a very structured kind of person, and there are tools out there that will help me visualize things a whole lot better than what I usually can on my own. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with the study, but I think it depends on the user and your intention as well. Are you going there? I mean, talk about it in education systems. Like, are you going there to just have it write your book report for you and cheat and, get out of it the easy way? Or are you going there to have it help you to come up with ideas so that you use your own brain? And I think that's the same across any way that you're using a tool. It's who's using it and how you're using it, right?
Without question. I got my MBA only a couple of years ago, and I know there's already, and my brother is a professor, a university professor, and there is so much concern on the university level right now about students using AI, and again, not using their critical thinking in developing papers and doing their work and actually learning while they're there. So yeah, there is some, throws caution in the wind.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. Well, so we've talked about how, you've been able to use AI tools in your business to serve your clients better and help your team. So let's kind of imagine for just a second, if we were to build you an AI agent, because that's what we do at Millionaire Momentum AI Agency, that could do any kind of task or, system or process or whatever it is in your business that would help you guys serve more clients. What would that be? What would you want your dream AI agent to do?
Well, I think the biggest challenge for a boutique agency like ours, again, that's centered in the middle of the country, not in New York or what have you, is that staying in front of the right eyeballs and getting to the right prospects. That's probably our biggest challenge, and then we get served up listserved emails all the time about using different tools to schedule meetings and get in front of people and what have you. And typically in our industry, it's about trust. It's about understanding, I know this person who's developed creative strategies, help people sell for my competitors here, and here, or similar companies that I respect. And so I think the biggest challenge as a business that we face whether AI can help us or not, is getting in front of the right people. And I think every agency is in this, in the same boat. And, we're always trying to sell, 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 sell. And then sometimes that ends up taking up the mind space that you would like to put into thinking, and actually developing smart creative. And that's actually, I think, easier for us to do on our own. But the challenge is getting in front of the right people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're not in front of the right people, you're not growing your business. So makes perfect sense. And AI can definitely help with that. And there are ways that we recommend humans are involved in that too, just as we've been talking about that mix. So love it, love it. So thinking about Elasticity's future in the next 6 to 12 months, where do you see your business going? Anything exciting that we can kind of let our listeners in on?
Well, I think without question, we are starting to create efficiencies for ourselves using AI tools all the time. And we are about as exciting as our clients will allow us to be. uh, and it's but so I think for us, it's trying to compete effectively and stay ahead of the market that we've always managed to do, but it becomes, I mean, every 3 to 6 months, there is something new technologically that forces us to pivot. Fortunately, we monitor it very closely, but even if it's usually driven by algorithms, whether it's Google algorithms, Facebook algorithms, the way things are being adjudicated within the social space, we have to constantly pivot and stay up to speed. And I think right now, the biggest hurdle for any organization, if you're really using it well, is AI in terms of understanding how to make the most efficient use of AI tools for growing your business, and for continuing to be good at what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that sounds exciting. I mean, obviously, you know what you're doing and how to do it, and you guys are pivoting along the way exactly when you need to. And I just I think that that's really exciting to see what your business is going to be doing from this point forward into the next big thing, right? So, what advice would you give to agency owners or leaders who want to embrace AI without losing that human touch? We've talked about it a little bit here, but what's your golden nugget for this?
Yeah, train, train, train. You need to not only just throw the tool at someone, but actually provide some guidance as to how it can most efficiently be used.
Okay.
Have a strategic plan, instead of just saying, "Oh, let's just dive into this. Let's stick our toe in the water." I think you have to be a little more thoughtful about that. Um, I think there's also a fear factor that you have to manage in terms of the culture of your organization with your team. If you've got a lot of copywriters, they need to understand that a computer is not going to replace them, and so helping them understand that is really, really important. And I think it's also easy to get lazy. If your whole role just turns into passing everything you're handed through some type of large language model, you're not adding value. And so I think not being lazy is probably really important. But I think it really begins with training in terms of having a goal for using AI tools and understanding how those AI tools are going to make you better, and making sure that everyone on your team understands that as well, and not just throw them to the wolves.
Yeah, and not just use a tool just to use a tool. I love that strategy behind it. Makes a lot of sense. Well, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for letting me pick your brain about everything that you're doing with AI and just elasticity in general. So obviously people can go to your website, and we'll put that one up again. But any other way that you would want people to connect with you to learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty easy to find because whether it's LinkedIn is usually the best way to get to me, or just you can email me at aaron@goelastic.com, or our website is an easy way to reach any member of our team.
Awesome. That sounds great. We'll definitely check out goelastic.com. All right, guys. Well, this wraps up another show of the Mastering AI Momentum Show. And just remember that momentum doesn't come from just following trends. It really comes from stretching what's possible, by really balancing that HI, human intelligence, and the AI that's there. So thank you so much once again, Aaron. This has been great.
Thank you. It's been a real joy.
Awesome. All right. We will see you guys next time on the Mastering AI Momentum Show.
You've been listening to Mastering AI Momentum. If today's episode gave you clarity or sparked a breakthrough, share it, review it, leave us a comment, and show Ali and Elise how you're turning AI into ROI. And make sure you subscribe, because the next episode could be the strategy that unlocks your next level. Until then, build smart, scale fast, and let AI multiply your momentum.